Manyala, the fastest man in Africa, and you're watching Side Chat with Nashville. Please subscribe and keep following.
Very quickly, I wanted to quickly get your reflections on the performance of Cameroon in the World Cup. I know this past week they were very disappointed when one of their own countrymen scored against them. I think for me, one thing that stood out is the fact that, and I think I was reading a blog online where the mom was defending the various number of criticism on people who were saying that maybe he shouldn't have scored against his team, but she was like, there is a big problem in African football. And I think that's a problem that all of us can relate. You can relate to that because we seem to, the talent development seems to be in line with who you know as opposed to the talent that you have. I wouldn't want to drag you into that into that conversation because I know we will spend the whole night here. But looking at Cameroon versus Switzerland game, now Cameroon is going to be playing against Serbia. Very quickly, were you impressed by the performance of Cameroon? Because I have my own opinions, which I'm going to be sharing with you once I get your your take on this particular game. But what did you make of the Cameroon versus Switzerland game?
I think that was the poorest performance from the African teams in the first round of matches, especially looking at the talent that Cameroon possessed. And I will delve deep. I would venture into what you asked me about for two reasons. One, I think those claims from the Cameroonian fans are unfounded. Because his mom is not the first person to speak about players being asked to pay for an amount before they are given the chance to join the Cameroonian team. I guess you might have heard about Mbappe's parents also speaking about the fact that they were asked to pay some amount of money. And I mean, wherever he is, he didn't pay any money. And you see, the problem is these players were born there. I mean, he was born in Cameroon, but he's lived almost all his life in Switzerland. And you might argue that the facilities and the culture in Switzerland is different from Cameroon. And he has lived in Switzerland. He's more acclimatized to the Swiss culture now. And so the Cameroonian culture might be quite alien. The way the things are done might be quite alien to him. And so he might feel at home with his thing that, well, after he scored a goal, he apologized to the fans. So this was someone who respects his culture enough that after he scored against the country of his parents, he apologized that he was omitted from the squad. Because looking at the defending, how Cameroon considered that goal, I shudder to think that if Michael Ngadu was in that back line, Cameroon might not have considered that goal. And up to now, Rigobert Song has not really explained to people why he omitted his experienced centre back. Mind you, just a day before the squad was announced, Ngaju, I think, granted an interview and said he was going to kill himself or make sure, not kill himself, but they're going to fight for his country to make sure they qualified or they did well at the tournament. Fast forward, the next day, the squad is announced, and Ngadu is nowhere to be found in the list. Till now, no explanation, and there was a shambolic defending from the Cameroonian team, and that was what caused them attacking wise to poor. And I was looking at this team managed by Rigobert Song and their FA president Samuel Eto'o, who was an attacking-minded player, and I asked myself, what is the footprint of Eto'o in this team? Hasn't Cameroon, Samuel Eto'o, even though you say he's the FA president, not the coach, but he couldn't have watched on for this shambolic performance from the team. And I think the coach might be blamed as well. His selection was quite suspect because at the point, he started with Eric Martin Choupo-Moting, an informed player. He had his skipper, Vincent Abubakar, on the bench. And I felt when they had considered a goal, he needed to have more firepower, more attacking players. So he needed to have brought on Abubakar to partner Choupo-Moting, not removing Choupo-Moting and bringing on Abubakar. So I think that was one of the reasons they might have lost. So I think it was a poor performance, and it looks increasingly likely that they might not qualify, because that group is a very difficult group. And once you've lost your first 3 points, it will be a problem. Remember, Serbia also have lost their first game, and they also have very good players: Dusan Vlahovic, Dusan Tadic, Alexander Mitrovic, Milinkovic Savic. Very good players. They have a very good spine. They have a very good attack. Luka Jovic as well. So, considering the amount of talent they have in attack, I think they are better off than the Cameroonians. And so, if Cameroon doesn't set up their team very well, they might lose their second game. For one, I knew that it was going to be difficult for Cameroon to beat Switzerland, but I felt they would have tried to fight for a draw by maybe doing what Otorado did, going for a back five, try to defend and make sure they don't concede a goal. Because in that game, I thought it was supposed to be a goalless draw. Switzerland were not too good enough. They were not an excellent team. They just had one chance and they took their chance. And so if Cameroon is supposed to beat Switzerland, the first thing is they need to have a very good defense and try to do what Switzerland did: score once and then they defend again. In that way, they can win the match and then enhance their chances and possibly try to get the draw against Brazil. Because immediately Cameroon loses this game, I think that's the end of the road for them.
Okay. I think my fight that I have with Cameroon is the fact that, and interesting that you mentioned part of it, because for me, I saw a lack of motivation from the team. Because there's no way you're going to be playing a counter attack and players are literally walking in the field. I don't know whether you noticed that. Because at some point, there was a switch of play, and it was a counter attack, and the players in the middle of the line are busy walking. They look so unmotivated. They've lost the ball just next to their box. People are just walking. I'm like, what the hell? What are you guys doing? You're playing in a World Cup tournament. It's not like a league match, But I also agree with you, because looking at somebody like Vincent Abubakar, he did a fantastic job at the AFCON tournament. He scored a lot of goals at the AFCON tournament. So for me, I was actually surprised when Vincent Abubakar start. Let's just hope Rigobert Song and the whole of Cameroon are watching this particular channel, and in the next game they're going to be starting Vincent Abubakar. Very quickly, as we wrap up, your prediction for the South Korea versus Ghana game. Don't be too harsh, because I have my friend over here from South Korea.
I think it's going to be a close call. So I don't think it will be by whoever wins will not win by a very wide margin, possibly a 2-0 or a 2-1.
Okay.
And I think I'm seeing, even though pundits might say Korea, based on the world rankings and their form, Korea have not lost. I think they've lost one in their last 9 matches, and they've kept, I think, clean sheets in 3 of their last 4 matches. So they've got a good defense, and they've not really lost matches. So they look more likely to be the team to win the match. But I think Ghana has the men, the firepower to beat South Korea. So I think Ghana will win by 2-1.
Okay. And the Cameroon versus Serbia game?
That's difficult. It depends on the lineup from Rigobert Song. I was also disappointed in Serbia's performance against Brazil as well. Yeah. So I guess both managers will, and both teams, after losing their first game, would try to get a win. And it is looking easier for Serbia than for Cameroon, because if Serbia manages to beat Brazil and they try and possibly get a draw against Switzerland, depending on the result elsewhere, from Brazil and then Cameroon, they might qualify, But for Cameroon, it's very difficult. Once they do not win against Serbia, it will be quite problematic for them. I think that will be the end of the road. So it means Cameroon need a win tomorrow, and that is very difficult. That looks highly unlikely if the Brian Mbemo and Brian Mbemo and beg your pardon, Brian Mbemo and Brian Mbemo and
Vincent.
Brian Mbemo and Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They there was a bit of selfishness on both on the part of the two players. They had a chance. They could have. Mbemo had a chance. He should have crossed the ball to Choupo-Moting, was in a better position to slot it home. He did the move to slot it home. He also did it. So selfishness was also another reason for that. So I guess if the coach speaks to them in subsequent games and they set up their team very well to accommodate Ikambi, Choupo-Moting, and Vincent Waka, I guess, and they set up their defense very well, Cameroon stand a chance. They should, I think, go with a back five, vigilant, then they can have a chance of beating Serbia. But it looks very much unlikely. I think Serbia will win the game, and that will be the end of the run of the Cameroonian team this year's World Cup. They never really looked like a serious team in the first game against Switzerland, as you put it. So if that attitude continues, then that will be the end of the road for Cameroon.
Okay. Thank you so much, Eugene, for making time. I know we have a busy week. I'm trying to see how I can have you again later on this week. But always, thank you so much for always making time to be on the platform. Well, guys, sure. Well, guys, that's all the time that we had on this day's pre-match analysis of the African teams at the ongoing World Cup. There's so much content coming on. Make sure you like the channel, subscribe, and just leave a comment down below. Let us know what you think about the predictions that you've given in the games that are going to be played today. Share the link with your friends, all the lovers of the African football, and see you on the next one.